Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Rafael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
Welcome to the Heroes Rising show. I am Nikki Gangemi, and I am taking the place of Sifu Rafael and Jose Escobar, who are on their way to a fun event in Canada. And I'm excited to have this conversation with our special guest, Laura Watson. We will be talking about leadership and communication. I'm going to add Laura. Welcome to
Hello.
Heroes Rising.
Hi, nice to see you today.
Nice to see you too. It's great to be connected with you.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Thank you. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourselves? We'll start there and then we'll dive into our conversation. Anything you want to share?
Sure. So I do business and leadership development with small business owners across Canada and the US. I've been coaching owners and leaders now for over 20 years. Absolutely love the work that I get to do because I love helping people get themselves personally and their businesses to the next level, whatever that looks like. I find the work extremely fulfilling, and it's fascinating, the conversations that I get to have with people. You know, one day I might be talking with them about their business plan and some strategy, and the next day I'm talking to them about their parenting or how they can be the best version of themselves, or the limiting beliefs that they hold. So no 2 days, no 2 conversations are ever alike. And it's great to be here today to talk about communication as well, because I'm actually a certified communication expert. And I love this topic because communication skills and using them effectively has such a huge impact on our relationships, whether it's business relationships or personal relationships. So it has such a wide reach of impact. That's why one of the reasons why I love having this conversation.
Yes, communication is almost everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, really important. So you were saying that, and I might have the words differently, but basically that you help people get to their next level, whatever that might be. Do you find a common quality or character trait that is the most helpful in getting that person to the next level?
Well, if someone wants to get to the next level, obviously they need to want it, right? You know, you have to be willing to grow, and you have to be willing to, so you have to be open-minded, because what's gotten you to where you are now is not necessarily what's going to get you to that next level. So there needs to be an open-mindedness and a willingness to step into your discomfort zone, because again, growth happens in that place of discomfort. And so that's, you know, a lot of the role that I play. I was just having this conversation with one of my clients yesterday. He wants to grow and develop in the organization where he currently is. And, but that's going to require him getting uncomfortable. So I like to tell people, you get comfortable with discomfort. It's what I've had to do over the years. I've engaged in my own personal and professional development work. It's really an ongoing and lifelong process. And so I've, definitely wrestled with it in the past. I didn't want to get uncomfortable, but when I have, that's when I've experienced the most growth. And that's definitely when my clients experience the most growth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So open-minded, a willingness, and a willingness to get out of your comfort zone, because that's really where the growth is.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for a lot of things in life.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. And don't you find that you survive on the other side of your comfort zone? Like, we're having this conversation, we're still here.
Yeah, you know what? Absolutely, we survive. And the interesting thing too is that it's never as bad as we think it's going to be. Right? Yeah, I've had lots of conversations where my client, they're wrestling with something, but they say, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." And then I meet with them the following week. And it's like, "So how was that?" And they're like, "You know what? It was no big deal."
Yeah. It's like we imagine it to be so much worse in our minds. And most of the time, we're pleasantly surprised to find ourselves saying, "Oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought."
Yeah, exactly. It really is that mindset that is holding us back. And it's our mindset that's making it scary. And so when we can push through, and there really is no other way around it, you can't go around it, you can't go over, you can't go under, you got to go through. But once you go through, whatever you're trying to accomplish really sits on the other side, and is never as bad as we think it's going to be. And even if it's challenging, which it often is, something great comes of it, a new learning, a new perspective. So it's always worth the effort.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things in life, I'll share this with my clients too. It's like life happens, right? Not everything always goes the way that you want it to go. But if you can get, what's the positive lesson or learning that I can gain from this experience, you can move on so much faster and, be more resilient and not carry that with you into the next experience.
Yeah, there's always a learning to be had. And often the biggest challenges create the biggest learnings.
Yeah.
So I find that as well. The things that I have resisted the most, when I finally take it on, that's when I have actually the biggest gains and the biggest jumps to that next level.
Yeah. Do you have a story or an example that you can give us about that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest, I wrestled with this for a long time. So I moved into business and leadership coaching about 20 years ago, which meant taking on my own business. But prior to that, actually, I was in the nonprofit sector. So my original background before becoming a certified coach is in counseling, and I've got a master's in social work. So I worked in the nonprofit sector, both front lines and in leadership, for about 12 years. But in the nonprofit sector, your clients are given to you. You don't have to go find them. So then I transitioned into coaching, and all of a sudden I had to find my own clients, which means I had to sell. Well, oh my goodness, did I have a whole bunch of limiting beliefs and resistance to selling. I thought it was pushy. I thought it was slimy. I thought it was hard. And I thought I had to convince people. I had imposter syndrome going on. I mean, you name it. And I had every resistance going. And I struggled for like 5 years. It was tough. Fortunately, I had colleagues who gave me referrals and kept me in the game. But oh my goodness, I struggled. And it was really my mindset about all that I was struggling with. And what really created the shift for me was when my husband actually recommended a book to me called Spin Selling. And that actually transformed everything for me because it transformed my mindset. And what I learned in that book is that selling is not pushy. Selling is actually helping. And helping comes from understanding the needs of the other person, not trying to convince them that, hey, I'm the best coach for you, just trust me. It's really about doing what I was already good at, which is showing up, asking questions, seeking to understand and that other person and what they need. And then looking inside my own toolbox and my own skill set and seeing, do I have the ability to help this person? Can I help them meet their needs? If the answer was yes, then I had an opportunity to share how I thought I could help. And then once I, bridged that with them and they saw, yes, I could actually be helpful to them, then the sale happened. I got hired. And if I didn't see an opportunity or a way that I could help them personally, that was okay too. And then I was able to refer them off to somebody else. Right. So that was a huge shift for me around just shifting my mindset around what selling and helping people was really all about and how to make it happen. And, when I made that shift and got out of my own way and out of my own resistance, things just skyrocketed for me. It was great.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the reframe that I heard you say, that selling is really listening for an opportunity for how you can help. And after asking questions and listening, if you think you can help them, then you just share how you help. That the focus becomes on that versus selling them.
It's absolutely on them, right? But in the beginning, I was so focused, it's all about me, and sort of a sense of desperation in the beginning and scarcity. I need a client, I need to, get the bills paid. I need to have an income. And I was, in the beginning, it was all about me. And I really had to let go and realize, no, it's not about me, it's about them. And when I show up and I'm in service, then that's really what it's all about. And so when I'm in service and create a win-win, I help them, which is their win, then I get my win, which is having the income that's generated from helping and being in service.
Yeah, and it's a different energy that you show up with too. It's almost like an open energy where you're allowing.
Absolutely it is. As the desperation's gone, that scarcity is gone. It can be, in that energy of abundance and acceptance versus resistance. And being in that helping in service energy. That's, really what it's about.
Yeah. And people can feel it. Even if they're not consciously aware, they'll be like, there's just something, I can't explain it, that's just off. And and then the relationship won't continue. So
absolutely, people can feel it. Whether we're in person with each other on a Zoom meeting, for example, people that energy is there. Absolutely, people feel it, and makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yep.
Well, I want to shift a little bit, and I want to ask you, in your experience, what makes a leader truly influential? So not just respected, but someone that others want to follow.
Oh, great question. What makes a leader sort of respected and someone, so a leader needs to have a vision. Obviously, they have to have, they have to see an opportunity and they have to be headed somewhere that inspires people to want to go there with them. And then, so I think that's really foundational. And then what keeps people inspired is when that leader shows up in a way where they listen to their direct reports or the people who are on the ride with them. And really the leader creates the vision, but then people want to follow and be on the journey with them. And they all have their individual ways of contributing towards moving towards that vision. So then the leader's job is to show up and ask questions and want to understand their followers, if you will, and look for how can the follower contribute to the pursuit of that vision? What talents and interests do the followers bring that then the leader can capitalize on or foster and really encourage, so that it's really a sense we're all headed there directly together. So it's not, it's really about we're on a path together. The leader has created the possibility, but the leader doesn't know how to get there by themselves, and really needs the efforts of everyone else that's on the ride in order to get there. And so the leader has to be showing up and seeing, what skills, talents, and abilities does everyone else bring to bear. And then the leader's job is to help their followers express and develop those abilities, so that when they develop those abilities and are stronger, then everyone moves forward faster.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. What I was just thinking about is when you can see the best in someone, they have a tendency to want to rise to that level. Back in a former life, when I taught elementary school, I noticed there was a huge difference in how I spoke with the students. If I said, "Oh, but you have so much potential, you can do this," it was kind of like they sat up a little taller, and they wanted to live into that. Versus if you put them down, or you were, just not happy with them, then they shrunk a little bit. So, and that goes whether you're 8 years old or 58 years old. When someone knows that you see the best in them and you know what's possible, they can sometimes borrow your belief and want to rise to that.
Absolutely. And, unfortunately, I still see leaders out there practicing that command and control type of model, thinking that they have to push and they have to incentivize and criticize even to get people to rise up. And that's not the case. In fact, one of the things I do with my leaders is I coach them on how to coach, because it's not about telling people, what to do. It's about understanding people, understanding what they want, and coach, and then helping them get to the next level. When leaders help their people get to the next level, that's when the organization gets to the next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what communication habits do you see that oftentimes hold leaders back? And then how can they shift those patterns?
Oh, communication habits that hold them back. One of the habits actually is, is leaders, whatever problems they're trying to solve, in their organization, they're so problem focused. It's like, we got to deal with this, and we got to deal with this, and we got to deal with this, which is understandable. There's lots of challenges to solve. But when leaders are so problem focused, the habit they forget is the acknowledgement of their team members. That what you were just talking about when you were teaching, letting your students know you have potential. I see this in you. What a great job you did on X. And I find a lot of leaders forget to do that. They forget to acknowledge and commend their direct reports for what they're doing well, and so that their direct reports will do more of that. If a leader is always just pointing out the problems, then direct reports never know what they're doing right. And so I think that that's a really important habit that leaders need to get themselves into, is don't just focus on the problems, focus on what's working, focus on the wins. I start every coaching session with my clients. What are the wins this week? What are you feeling good about? Because so that we can grow and build on the wins.
Build on the wins.
And it's not just a feel-good exercise. When we focus on what's working, it actually changes our neural pathways.
Yes.
Right? So because it opens up creativity pathways in our brains. So it's not just a feel-good exercise. It actually is a neurological exercise, so that we can build on our strengths and our capacities. So that's a really important habit that I encourage leaders to take on, is focus on their personal wins and where they are achieving, and then on the wins of their team, so that we can continue to build on that.
Yeah, that's a skill that would benefit everybody. Every person, right? Just looking at what went well today, and acknowledging yourself. I do the same thing with clients. We begin the session by talking about wins. And it's funny that sometimes, maybe oftentimes, people, they have to really think, win. And it's almost like, so I'll remind them, size doesn't matter. It could be something very small that, I woke up on time today. But what's interesting is that as they think of one win, then their mind finds another. And then
Absolutely.
suddenly they just listed like 8 or 10 wins. And it's like, you've actually had a lot, but they didn't see it that way initially until they started looking for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and you're right. It doesn't have to be huge to be a win, right? Sometimes people have a goal of, I really need, it's a health related. I need to drink more water. Well, maybe they got all the water that they intended that day. And so, yeah, a win can look like anything. And one of the things, I recommend to people, speaking of wins, because we don't always remember, is keep a wins jar.
Yes.
This is mine. Right. And so keep it on your desk. And every once in a while, I think of a win, I write it down and I put it in here. And then at the end of the month or 6 months or at some point, I dump out my wins jar and I read them. And I was like, oh, yeah,
I forget.
Exactly. We do forget. So that's been great little thing, either individually or as a team. Have a wins jar.
I love that. I have we jar tomatoes, my family. We make our own tomatoes for tomato sauce, marinara sauce. And we have those ball jars. And that's what that looks like to me. So I'm going to take an empty one and I'm going to create my win jar and keep it right on my desk. So thank you for the inspiration.
Yeah, my pleasure. I gotta walk my talk.
Yes, same. And I'm just noticing there's people that have been commenting. I want to acknowledge you. Hi, Sifu Rafael. He's saying hi from the road on his way to Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Hope you're having a great trip on your way to Canada. And is it Raj? I want to make sure I'm saying your name correctly. Heading to the airport myself. Yeah. Acknowledging contributions is so important. Yeah, they're agreeing with us. Good. We're all on the same page. Yeah. And the win jar is resonating with people. So
great. Glad to hear it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Good. So next I want to ask you about uncovering blind spots, because that's something that you talk about. So what's a common one that shows up for high-performing leaders, and how do you help them to spot it?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So blind spots are interesting. I mean, they're called blind spots for a reason because we can't see them, right? That's where having some like a coach or a close colleague can be really helpful, because they can help uncover blind spots. But so blind spots are often the limiting beliefs, the stories that we're holding about ourselves that we're unconscious of. And so common ones are, there's actually 3 most common to the human experience. And these are fundamental to the human experience. We all it's hard to believe that we all have them, but we do too. And we might describe them slightly differently, but we all have 3 fundamental limiting beliefs that then create blind spots for us. And those limiting beliefs are, first of all, I'm not enough, or I'm not okay. That's the first one. The second one is I don't belong, some version of that. And the third one is I have to do it myself. And, lots of entrepreneurs and business owners, I got to do it myself. They're strong, and it creates a strength in that they're doers. They can get stuff done, and they're those A types. But the flip side of that coin is it can also hold us back. And so how I help people uncover their blind spots is I listen very carefully to their language, because whatever's coming out of their mouth is a direct reflection of what's going on up here in their head. And so I have the benefit of listening to them, and it's often very subtle, but I've been doing this so long that I can hear it. And then I'll literally stop them mid-conversation and say, wait a minute, did you notice that you just said this? Let's look at that for a minute. And that's how I help them uncover those blind spots. If someone were to try to do this work on their own, then they would need to be taking time to really listen to their self-talk, because their self-talk, whether they're kind of talking to themselves at their desk one day, or that voice is going on a mile a minute in their head, they need to kind of slow down and actually listen to that voice in their head. because that voice in the head is telling them what they're thinking and what they're believing. And if it's not productive and constructive, then there's a blind spot to uncover. So, those are the three fundamental blind spots. Definitely the I'm not okay, I'm not good enough is the most fundamental of them. And and of course, it's just a belief. It's just a story we made up once upon a time that we've never really taken time to examine and debunk. Yes. And once we can take the time and opportunity to look at it and debunk it, then it's amazing what opens up for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that almost everyone has at least one of these. The I'm not enough, or I don't belong, or I've got to do it myself. We could say they're universal.
We are. Well, that's what I meant by fundamental. Yeah, they are universal limiting beliefs that we all have at some point in time. And we have to uncover them, look at them, so that we can get back in the driver's seat in regards to them because I always want people in the driver's seat of their own life, running their life rather than their limiting beliefs running them.
Right. Exactly. And it's good to ask questions. You were using the word debunk, and I say to my clients, put those thoughts on trial. Are they hard facts? Hard facts.
Yes.
Or could it be a belief, an interpretation, a projection, an attitude?
Mm-hmm.
And then what else is possible? What's another option here?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a great methodology for it. And you're right. Put that idea, that thought on trial. Examine it, ask questions of it. Is it true? Is it 100% true? Because what we usually find out is like, yeah, not really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So another thing, and I'm excited to ask you this because I hear the words a lot, and I would love for you to give us some tangible examples of working on your business and not just in it. So what does that look like in practical terms for someone who's maybe burnt out, stuck in the weeds, overwhelmed?
Yeah. So working in your business, a lot of my clients are service providers. So they are subject matter experts who are running companies now. So they're architects or engineers, accountants, real estate agents. So there's the doing of your business. There's the doing. So working in your business are things like creating working on an engineering plan, for example, and the doing, that even going out and having a sales conversation or networking. That's working in your business, doing the things that are the actions, the work of your business. Working on your business is when you step back and take a bigger picture view. You get out of the weeds of your business, and you're thinking from a higher level. You're thinking about the context of your business. You're looking at your business related to the larger marketplace. You're thinking about your direct reports. Where are they at personally and professionally? How can you support them and coach them to get to the next level personally and professionally, because that's what's going to help your business get to the next level. It's about stepping back and thinking, where do I want to be in 10 years from now? Right. And then reverse engineering. So if I want to be here personally and professionally 10 years from now, what does that look like 5 years from now? What does that look like 1 year from now? So there's always the in the weeds, everyday doing of the business, but then there's the stepping back and looking from the bigger context. That's what I call working on your business. And we really have to do both. And I think we have to do both, not just, obviously there's the everyday working in, but we can't just work on once a year at a kind of we give ourselves a retreat of some kind and then think, okay, I do all this great thinking and I create my plan and then I come back and I get back in the weeds again and I don't look at that plan all year long.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. It's like you set your goals.
Yeah.
And then you go back to being in the business and in the doing of the things, and you don't reconnect to that vision and the plan that you have.
Yeah. So it really, so for my clients, we have big picture conversations, once, twice a year, but then we're connecting to that on a week, at least a monthly, if not a weekly basis, so that we stay connected to, and we have more balance of working on and working in, because you got to do both for it to move forward.
You got to do both. This might not be the best metaphor, but it's the one that came to mind while you were talking about a pilot. They could be doing all the things, shifting the controls and everything. They also have to keep an eye on where they're going, so that they know that if even are 1 degree off, that they need to recalculate so they can stay on track. So you definitely need a balance of both, looking at the big picture.
It's a great analogy, that pilot, because you're flying along. If you go 1 degree off and you don't recalibrate, then you're going to go 1 degree off from there, 1 degree off from there. And that can really steer you off course.
Oh, yes.
Even though it's so incremental, those increments build over time on in a pilot's case, it's a minute by minute basis. In a business, it can be a day to day or week to week basis. But over time, that really accumulates. So that's why it's so important. So much can happen in a day and a week that we have to keep looking at our plan and taking a bit of time to work on, not just in, because otherwise we can steer off course really fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you help leaders who are struggling with inconsistency or focus get back on track so that they stay connected to that bigger vision?
Yeah, challenges to focus and stay on track are so common. We live in an instant everything society right now. We're addicted to cell phones and email notifications that just give us pings here, there, and we think, oh my gosh, and they're designed that way. They're designed to take our focus off of something and onto them. And so definitely we have to be aware of that and develop some self-discipline around turning the notifications off for one. But what I do with my clients is I reverse engineer their businesses with them. So like I was talking about earlier, we create a plan. Where do you want to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 1 year from now? It's like, okay, we've got our annual goals now. Now let's prioritize those and look at because we can't work on everything all at once. And then we take those 1 year goals and we break them down into quarters. So what are we working on in this particular quarter? So we might only have 2 or 3 goals per quarter that we're working on, but we have 2 or 3 goals that we're working on. And so I help people, first of all, get clear on what they want to accomplish. Then we talk about when, which is the breakdown into the quarters. Then we have to look again at how and when. So what I mean by that is I have my clients use a scorecard tool that comes out of a book called The 12-Week Year. And that book is all about getting more accomplished in a quarter than you do in a year. And it's possible, because what happens is we take those goals for the quarter and then we break them down into what are 1 or 2 action steps that we can take. So this is the how. Well, how am I going to move forward on that particular goal this week? Just this week, because we got 12 weeks in the quarter. So it's 1 or 2 actions that we can take related to the goal. Then I get really nitty gritty with it. I have them open up their calendar. It's like, okay, you're going to take that action this week. How much time do you need? They tell me I need an hour. Great. Let's put that hour in your calendar. So maybe Tuesday at 2, for 1 hour, you're taking that action on that goal. And so we get clear on what we have to accomplish, how we're going to do it, and when we're going to do it. Because if it doesn't get calendared, it's not going to happen.
It's not happening.
Exactly. And then at the end of the week, they get to total up their execution score. If they had 5 actions this week, did they take all 5 or did they take 4? Right? Did they
Yeah.
take 3? So how did they actually score on their execution?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're scoring 80% consistently every week on their execution, they're going to achieve their goals. And so when I get my clients following that format, I find that they meet and often exceed their goals. It's really exciting because obviously they're getting where they want to go faster.
That's
and
right.
I'm helping them get there, which is all about what I want to do. So that's how I address focus with people. I have them break it down into chewable pieces and get them consistent on tracking the execution that they want. And when we do that, amazing things happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's really helpful, especially if somebody's getting overwhelmed, to, like you said, really just chunk it down into, what's one step you can take action on right now. And then write it down, put it on the calendar so that it does happen. And I know for the high performers and high achievers you work with, having them have that execution where they can actually have a percentage on 80% on track with my goals, that has to be a motivation for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better, they want to perform.
Well, and I find when I get them doing this exercise as well, a common insight that is gained is how frequently they set themselves up to thinking that they can accomplish more than they actually can in a week.
Oh, yeah.
So when I first get them on this exercise, they might have like 10 actions that they're going to take this week. And they're like, yeah, no problem. I can get that done. And I meet with them the following week. It's like, what was your execution score? 20. And they just realize that there's just so many things flying at them during a week that they just literally can't do everything that they think they can do. So then we have to adjust. And reset and play with that until we get it right. So, I mean, it's totally, we make it happen, but sometimes expectations have to be adjusted a bit.
Yeah, somebody might be a little ambitious, thinking that they can accomplish all of these things, and when they don't, you want to make an adjustment, because otherwise you start to create a new story that I don't. For example, I don't accomplish the things that I set out to. We certainly don't want to create a limiting belief around that.
Yeah. So and then lots of times I find too that they learn, oh, well, if I really want to get all these things done that only I can do, maybe I need to delegate those things that I've been doing, thinking I'm the only one who can do it right. And so it always leads into other conversations and opportunities for how they're really using their time.
Yeah, and that butts up against that. If they have that belief, I have to do it myself, to delegate and ask for help, that might be a little out of their comfort zone. But we know that you do have to lean into that where you are uncomfortable, because it's just temporary. It's just temporary.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always interesting. Delegation's a big one. But when they finally let go a little bit, it's like, oh, wow, other people can get stuff done for me. Who knew?
Who knew? Yeah. And I'm okay. And this is actually better than I thought.
And they always come back to say, I wish I'd done this so much sooner. Oh, we're funny as human beings.
Oh, yeah, we are. We are.
Yeah.
So my next question that I have for you is, what's a breakthrough moment that you witnessed in a client that really stuck with you, especially around communication and leadership?
Breakthrough moment. Well, I think it's around this whole, what we were just talking about is the delegation piece. I started working with an engineer about just over a year ago, and he had just lost a business partner at the time, feeling completely overwhelmed, thinking he had to do it all himself, but couldn't do it all himself. And we've really worked on that delegation piece. And in addition to delegation is not just about telling people to do stuff. There's an art to delegation. It's how you have the delegation conversation that makes the difference. And so he ended up hiring someone to take some of the things off his plate, but then he had a really hard time actually letting go but he had that breakthrough. He finally did let go. He has handed a lot of things over to this person that he hired, and she's actually better at it than he is. So that was a huge breakthrough for him. So what we discovered together is what he's really good at. And now we have him putting his energies on what he's really good at. He's delegated the things that he's not good at. And like I said, she's actually better at it than he is. And now the company is in a much better place. And so that was a real breakthrough moment. We're still working on it. There's still some things that he needs to let go of still, but we're way further ahead than we were a year ago. And the new opportunities are coming to the company. They're closing more business because he's actually able to be in those sales conversations more effectively and be more responsive to opportunities because he's not trying to do all this other stuff as well. Yes. So that's been a huge, huge breakthrough.
I love that you shared that specific example because I just hired a part-time VA and experiencing a little bit of discomfort of letting certain things go and putting it into her hands. And so, yeah, it's exciting. It's like, know what you're good at, stay within your zone of genius, and offload or hire out to people who can do the other things better.
Yes, that's what you need to do. And then how to do it is really the piece around learning how to have an effective delegation conversation. Because that's the other around the communication element is I find that my clients have tried to delegate and then they get frustrated because they don't get back what they thought they asked for. Right. And then they want to point a finger and blame the person they delegated to, say, well, delegation doesn't work. See, I have to do it myself because they didn't do it the way it needs to be done. It's like, well, let's have a look at how you delegated. How did you have that conversation? Did you set timelines? Did you have check-ins? Did you delegate decision authority? So then we start to look at and then did they use active listening as a way to confirm clarity of the delegation conversation? And so when we start looking at those pieces, then they're like, oh yeah, I didn't do any of that. It's like, well, then maybe we need to look at how you're having that delegation conversation.
That's important. Yeah, there's lots of nuances, it sounds like.
There sure is.
To that conversation.
But it's all doable. There's skills that can be learned. So rather than thinking, oh, it just doesn't work. It's like, it can work. Absolutely. It's a skill. Delegation is a skill just like anything else, and it can be learned.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I have a final question for you. It's been very obvious that your own leadership has evolved over the years. What is one lesson that you wish you learned sooner?
Wish I'd learned sooner. Asking for help. I can be a little stubborn. And yeah, asking for and accepting help. I've definitely got to do it myself. I've had that limiting belief for a long time and had a belief that for some reason, and it doesn't make sense, but the belief I had was if I don't do it myself, somehow it doesn't count. And I wish I'd learned that sooner because I would have moved forward faster had I done it. But we're all on a path. I did eventually learn it. I'm in a much better place now. My husband will attest because he's one of those people who have tried to help along the way. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it myself.
I think that's a trait of a high achiever or high performer. And I could resonate with the, it doesn't count thing in the context of having an accomplishment. Like I was part of a book collaboration and it became bestseller overnight. And it didn't feel as rewarding and like, oh, wow, I did that because I didn't do it alone as opposed to when I wrote my own book. So that's definitely a limiting belief.
Yeah. So it's like, get over it already.
It's like, no,
Which is easier to say now than it was then.
It's almost like you believe you got to do it yourself. You got to work really hard. It has to be a long road. And then it's like, I achieved this. But who says? Who says it has to be
Exactly.
that way?
Yeah, those are all just stories we made up once upon a time.
Mhm.
And oh my God, it's like, let go of it already.
Yes, it is time to let go of the reins.
Yeah. So yeah, I wish I'd learned that one sooner. But at least I learned it eventually.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm right there. I'm hiring this part-time virtual assistant that I am finally, learning that lesson over 6 years in to having a business.
Yeah. Well, fabulous.
It's time.
Yep, you got there. That's the important thing.
That's right. Well, just whatever final words you want to leave and just share how the audience can connect with you. Anything you want to share, take about 45 seconds to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, owners, executives, leaders of any type, often, they're high achievers, like we've acknowledged. They think they need to do things on their own, and they really don't. And there's tons of resources out there to make the path a little bit smoother and make it go faster, actually. And one of those resources is actually my website. So I've got a bunch of free tools on my website that deal with delegation, deal with communication, deal with business planning, deal with how to give feedback effectively, marketing, sales. There's a bunch of stuff there, and it's all free. So if people want to go to my website, which is venturecoaching.ca, click on the free tab, take advantage of those downloads. And if they ever want to have a conversation with me, I'm always open to doing that, to having a chat and seeing how I can be in service. So I invite, hopefully the audience has gotten some good ideas out of this today and gotten some value. And if I can continue being in service and be of value in some way, I would love to do so.
I love that. Embodying what you preach. Love it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and connect with Laura. Her website information is there, venturecoaching.ca. And I'm Nikki Gangemi, founder of Mindful Matters, LLC. And I work with high-achieving professionals, including doctors, lawyers, and financial professionals who put a lot of pressure on themselves. And it can lead to burnout and overwhelm. So I help them get back to feeling calm, confident, and in control of what they can control. So you can connect with me at nikkigangemi.com. Same, I've got free resources there for you as well. And I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much, Laura.
I've enjoyed it too, Nikki. It's been a lot of fun today.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, audience, for tuning in. You can keep your questions coming in the chat, and I will respond to them right after. So, Laura, if you can hang on for just a minute, we're going to just say goodbye to everybody.
Okay.
And and make it a great rest of your day, everybody.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.